What's going on, guys? I'm going to show you today how to profit from sports betting with one simple trick. So, before I get into that, let me just explain to you guys kind of how sportsbooks make their money. So, just like every other casino game, there's a house edge. And in sports betting, that is called the VIG. The VIG is the fee that the sportsbook, it's almost like a convenience fee that these sportsbooks take on every single bet that you make. And more times than not, that ensures that they're going to end up profiting in the long run and you're not. So when you're making a normal bet on like an over under or spread, you're taking at minus 110, even though it's a 50-50 chance of winning. So it should really be, plus 100. That extra 10 cents is their VIG. That's their house edge, their way of ensuring that they're going to win in the long run. Here's a great example of what VIG looks like. You could see right here on this, it was Nuggets, Cavs -2. You could see the VIG on these books are ranging anywhere between like 4.8% to 5%. Which you think, oh, it's like 4.8%, 5%, doesn't matter if you're winning. The problem is, in the long run, these books almost want you to win 50% of the bets you make. They're still collecting on their VIG regardless. So that's why, like, slowly but surely, if you're running 50%, which is average, you're really losing money in the long run. So how are odds determined? Well, odds are correlated with the probability that of a specific side winning. So if they're setting that the odds of this team winning is minus 130 and they have the odds for the other team at plus 110, that means that they expect that team with the minus 130 line to win about 54, 55% of the time. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's around there. So when people say, well, I know this team's going to win, well, these sports books hire the smartest people. They invest hundreds of millions of dollars into software to determine these odds. And I'd say they're doing a pretty good job because you see the type of revenue they're bringing in, and the vast, vast majority of bettors are losing bettors. So the second bullet point here shows, or I wrote, sports betting is like any other market. It's supply and demand. That's really what it is. The more bets that are put on one side, the worse price you're going to get. So if you're taking a minus 200 money line and 90% of the money's there, well, they're going to move it to minus 250 or minus 300, whatever it is. More people want that. They know that they can essentially risk less because that's a popular bet. It's kind of why often there's like that stat where if you took every single underdog money line in March Madness, you'd be profitable, is because the majority of people like to take favorites. It's just more fun. You expect them to win. You don't expect a plus 250 underdog to win. So I guess we can kind of just get right into like how to actually beat the books. So what you have to do first, and this is the beauty of sports betting, is that unlike any other form of gambling, the house edge isn't necessarily like in the actual game. When you're playing blackjack, the house has an edge that you can't beat unless you're counting. You don't have an edge in roulette. You don't have an edge in craps. You're just playing to have fun, hoping to win in the short term. With sports betting, because it's a competitive market and there's so many different sports books, each one has its own odds. They can set the line at whatever they want. So in order to beat these books, the first thing you have to do is find the no VIG fair odds. Because the VIG is the only edge that these sports books have on us, if you can find a way to eliminate that and still have like leftover value, then that's a profitable bet. And I'll kind of show you guys an example of what the no VIG fair odds look like and what constitutes a profitable bet or not after you find those no VIG fair odds. The easiest way to describe it is essentially picking off stale lines that, whether the books were too slow to change, news came out and they just didn't realize, or other factors that go into it. But you'd be surprised how often you can find stale lines on these books. So here's a great example of a bet that I really like. It's on Bovada, an offshore account. All of us have access to it. For people that don't live in a legal betting state, this is a great example. It's Rodrigo Pacheco Mendez, plus 7.5 at minus 120 on Bovada. As you can see, Caesars has that bet at minus 145. DraftKings has it at minus 155 at Pinnacle. known as the sharpest sportsbook in the world. It's a European sportsbook, has it at minus 147. So there's two ways to kind of go from here. You can either use the average of all of these to determine what the no vig fair odds are, which here is minus 133. Or what I like to do is I like to base it directly off of Pinnacle. Pinnacle takes the least amount of juice, as you can see here. I'll show you. A bet like this, 6.9% of juice taken on Bovada, 5.7 on Caesars, 7.3 on DraftKings, and Pinnacle is only taking 3.8. So we're going to use Pinnacle's line as the sharp line, which more times than not, especially on a main market bet, which is like spreads, over-unders, money line, is a pretty safe bet. So I'm going to take those odds, so minus 147 and plus 126. So we're going to go minus 147 plus 126. Gives our side of winning a 57.36% chance, a win probability or win percentage. Now we're going to take that percentage, put it in here, our Kelly calculator. We're going to set our multiplier to 1. Multiplier doesn't matter too much because we're looking more so for an edge versus the actual fraction of the bankroll to bet. And we're going to put in the odds we can get it at, which is minus 120. So right there alone, you have a 5.16% edge. If you made 5.16% of like additional profit every single time that you made a bet, you'd be rich because you compound that. What's crazy is if you had a 3% ROI for the month and you bet the same amount every single day, let's say you bet $1,000 every single day, you would make 90% profit. So you would end up walking away with $900 in profit just by betting $1,000 a day with a 3% ROI. If we took this bet every single day and we're at a 5% ROI, obviously that number is going to be a lot higher. That's how simple it is, right? This line's right here for the taking. Anyone can grab it. And that's pretty much all you have to do. That's the beauty of sports betting. And with EV betting, is the only thing you have to do is find the no vig fair odds. If this line is a better number than this line, then you've done your job. Then you've found a profitable bet. And in the long run, you will make money from it. I've been doing this for about 7 months now. Started with a 3K bankroll, and I'm up over $25,000 since I started. It's not rocket science. By no means am I this math guru. I can just read these numbers and I kind of just, understand it at this point, but it's really not that complicated as long as you know where to start. Now, say this was minus 130 and this was plus 105. You're like, some people might look at that and be like, oh, well, you're still getting 10 cents of value. Well, not so much, because once you take away the VIG, you're really left with no value. I mean, if we wanted to try it right here, you take minus 130 and plus 105. We're left with a 53.68 win rate. You're like, okay, it's still, good bet. Not really. We're actually losing 1.59% if we were to make that bet every single time. So that's why I like to use these calculators so much. It helps kind of reassure my confidence in the bet, or it could sway me if the play isn't actually that good, even though it looks good for face value. That's pretty much it when it comes to no vig fair odds. It's just, what are the true odds of a bet without the house edge? And like I said, sports betting is the only form of gambling where you can actually create an edge, or that you can beat the edge because it's not fixed into the actual game itself. Anyhow, that's it from me. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. And that's about it.